During the first, 7, 8 years of Trey's life, he by far spent more time in the hospital than at home. Almost every holiday, we were at the hospital celebrating it. It just was inevitable. I first learned of Trey's diagnosis when he was 2 weeks old. His pediatrician told me it was time to bring the new baby in for a checkup and that it might be a good idea to bring family. We talk about just general new baby things, and eventually he got to the point, and it was to let me know that my newborn child had sickle cell disease.
The basic problem with sickle cell disease is the red blood cell has an abnormal shape. Instead of it being round and soft and squishy and able to swim through tiny blood vessels, the red cell looks like a sickle. Those cells get clogged up in the small blood vessels. That happens in the bones, that hurts, that's pain. That happens in the brain, you have a stroke. You can think about any part of the body that happens in the retina, you have retinal detachment and lose your vision. But the most common complication is pain.
A typical crisis or sickle cell crisis would probably last maybe 3 days to a week. If it was really bad, it could last anywhere from almost 2 weeks to a month. When I talk to people about my sickle cell, at times I don't think they understand the severity of the pain that I go through. The fact that it's so bad that sometimes I have to go into the hospital for days, weeks on end, is a pretty big idea of how bad it can be.
Sickle cell affects people of all races and ethnicities. The most common abnormality on newborn screening in Minnesota is sickle cell disease. Some of our kids need to be transfused monthly for years. Well, the most common reason would be because they've had a stroke. Historically, 11% of children with sickle cell disease would have a stroke before they reach teenage years. The more transfusions you get, the greater risk of developing resistance and antibodies, so it's becoming even more important that we have an adequate supply of antigen-matched blood for these kids.
Genetics knows no such thing as race, and red cells certainly don't. The race of the donor is largely irrelevant. All we need is it to be matched for various antigens. So if you have somebody with a combination of antibodies, it may take hundreds or thousands of donors to find the best match.
Memorial Blood Center is an integral part of caring for our patients with sickle cell disease, and having a safe, appropriate supply of red blood cells for this patient population is critical.
The fact that it's a long-term disease, not just a childhood disease, makes me feel two ways. One is I'm glad to be able to say that I went through it all these years so I can help the ones that are coming up after me that have it, and so I can give them knowledge and experiences and tips on way to handle it. And I also see it as a way that I have to be more careful in what I decide to do. I can't let certain pressures get to me and start to feel like maybe I don't need the medicine that's helping me keep alive. As I get older, I'm not gonna always have my mother here to remind me that I need to take care of my body, so I need to start thinking how I can do it on my own.
What gives me hope when I think of kids with sickle cell disease, Treyvon included, is their resilience. Kids are amazing, and they go through a lot and overcome.
My plans after high school are to go to a college, study medicine, probably get married after college. I don't want to get married before college because then that's too much stress.
Treyvon's an amazing young man. He's on a lot of medications, some for his asthma, some for his sickle cell disease, and he does a beautiful job. We don't see any limitations for Trey or any of our sickle cell patients. We expect our kids to participate fully in life.